In this demo, we present a sketch-based tool for authoring and analyzing emergent narratives. In this video, we'll focus specifically on the analysis and sketch-based generations feature of this tool. But as an overview, we can see here that we can load any given narrative and edit its state, the characters, and the individual actions. In this demo, we will not go into the theory or formalization of the analysis and sketch tool, which are presented in the paper and prior publications. Instead, here, we simply demonstrate the functionality of the tool with several examples. When we move to the Analysis tab, we can see we can select characters and different worldviews. By plotting, we can see the tension space, showing every possible state the world can be in, and how it affects the characters. We can similarly plot individual actions to see how they correspond to movements within this space. Actions can be rendered in two ways. Either we can show all possible actions at a given point in the tension space, or we take one action and render it over the entire tension space, showing its overall movement patterns. The goal of this analysis is to be able to detect high-level patterns between worldviews, either interpersonally between characters, or internally between a character's worldviews. In a narrative, we will generally want there to be a number of high-tension spaces between characters, i.e., worldviews which tend to conflict a lot more than others. Here we present an interpretation of a Russian fairy tale created within our system. In this model, we only use one worldview, since fairy tales tend to have one-dimensional characters who either embody good or villainy. In this first tension space, we show the main character and how that relates to her villainous stepmother. The diagonal pattern seen corresponds to high tension. Here, we can see an action that benefits the wicked stepmother tends to be a conflicting action for the good character, whereas an action that helps the good character does not necessarily hurt or help the villain. From this same fairy tale, we now render the main character and the helper character. Replotting the previous actions, we can see now that the good action uniformly benefits both characters, and the action taken by the villainous stepmother benefit neither of the characters. In the final example, we analyze the tension space of subject and subjectivity, an emergent narrative game that was previously created with the system. The game was essentially a puzzle where the player had to find the best action for specific characters to take, keeping in mind all their different worldviews. Thus, when we plot the actions, we can see they all point towards specific points in the tension space, rather than other examples when the actions tended to create more of a vector field in a certain direction. The actual process of rendering a tension space has been highly optimized. In this example, we were testing rendering a world of size 20 with possible values randomly selected between 1 to 20. This means there are over 100 septillion possible states of the actual world. Nonetheless, the system is able to render this space in real time in a matter of seconds. Ongoing work aims to similarly optimize the rendering and display of actions. Next, we move on to sketching. For this, we're going to use a template, which is from a previous test where we created a simple Aesop fable between two characters with two different worldviews and three facts. This mode looks very similar to the existing tension space analysis. However, in this mode, we're able to sketch the desired shape of the tension space. Since at each sketch we define two worlds, for this example, with two characters with two worldviews, we can create a full set of characters using only two sketches. Once the tension spaces are complete, we can then use the same system to begin sketching actions in a similar manner. These actions are sketched as a path of desired movement through the tension space. The system then fits this movement to a set of actions. Finally, we can save, and we see we have a generated version of the narrative with our new actions. From here, we can treat it as any other emergent narrative and perform things such as tension space analysis, Notably, the result of this sketch-based system is a skeletal structure of an emergent narrative. I.e., what we have done is we've described a desired behavior of the system, but not the specific context. Although here we used a template, we don't even need to have the characters, worlds, or worldviews decided when we create a sketch. This makes the sketch-based tool a very different approach to authorship than is typically understood. However, this abstract form of authorship also holds many advantages when working with something like a large emergent narrative system, in that we are more interested in creating a variety of behaviors and possible narratives, rather than trying to realize a specific narrative and then create a bunch of meaningful variations after. In this example, we recreate the basic tension space from one of the characters in subject and subjectivity. Here, each character only cares about a very small section of the overall world. To achieve this, we create a small tension space in the corner of our sketch tool, and then we click Finish Sketch, meaning that we do not care about any of the other possible facts in the world. From here, we can then recreate the actions that we wish to see in the end result. As before, after saving, we can load this narrative into the tool and edit and analyze it as we see fit. Lastly, as with the rendering of tension space, the creating tension spaces and actions from sketches is fairly optimized. Once again, using our test world of size 20, we can see that the transition from a sketch to an actual tension space is almost immediate. Likewise, the actions are created almost instantaneously as well. While the sketch-based approach is definitely in an experimental phase, it nonetheless presents an interesting technique whereby emergent narratives are first defined by their intended behavior rather than their context. In future work, we are interested in seeing how this form of authorship can be made accessible to emergent narrative authors. And that concludes our demo. We thank you for your time and interest.